Imagine you've been working hard to get your company compliant with ISO 9001, API Q1 or ISO 27001 or any other ISO or API standard, only to lose a big contract because your potential client requires certification, not just compliance. Yes, there is a big difference between being compliant and being certified. And not knowing the difference could result in your inability to bid on projects or perhaps lose lucrative contracts. In this video, I'll explain what ISO and API compliance really means and how it differs from certification and whether being compliant is enough for your business. Stick around because if you're on the fence about getting certified, this could help you avoid a costly mistake. By the end of this video, you'll understand the real difference between ISO and API compliance and ISO and API certification, and what happens if you are just compliant but not certified, and whether ISO and API compliance alone is enough to win business. And if you decide certification is the better route, I'll point you to a video that can help you choose the right registrar. So let's dive in. A while back, a potential client called our office in a bit of a panic. They were about to close a major contract with a large customer, but at the last minute, their customer asked for a copy of their ISO 9001 certificate. The problem? They didn't have one. They explained to us, well, we're compliant with ISO 9001 according to this consulting company XYZ who audited us. But that wasn't enough for our potential customer. They said they want proof of our official certification. Well, we explained to them what compliance versus certification meant, and we questioned the company who told them they were compliant. Did they lose the deal? We don't know, but it surely was an eye-opener for them. This happens more often than you think. Many companies assume that saying we follow ISO and API standard is enough. But unless you are certified by a recognized registrar, you may not be taken seriously, especially not by the majors. So let's break this down once and for all. What's the difference between compliance and certification? Compliance is when you follow the ISO and API standard requirements, but no independent third party has officially verified it. Certification happens when a registrar, also called a certification body, has audited your management system and issued a certificate, proving you meet the standard. Think of it like this. Compliance is saying, I am fit and healthy. Certification is getting an official doctor's report proving it. What happens if you are just ISO or API compliant? Well, you might still operate at a very high standard. You might even have a superb management system, whether it is quality, environmental, occupational health and safety, or information security management system. But without a certification, your customers or your potential customer may not accept your compliance claims. Big companies want a registrar verification, not just your word. You might lose contracts. Many tenders, requests for bids, requests for proposal, or RFPs specifically ask for certification. So you may struggle to stand out. Certification gives your business credibility and a competitive edge. Bottom line, ISO and API compliance is great, but in competitive industries like aerospace, defense, oil and gas, or manufacturing, certification can be the difference between landing a contract or losing it. Can you still get business if you're just compliant? Of course you can. Not every company in the world is certified to an ISO or API standard. It depends on the industries you operate and the customers that you're after. Smaller customers may accept your compliance claim. If you're a subcontractor, some companies might let you operate under their certification, which I'm not sure about that. Larger customers who have their own supply chain departments with fully staffed auditing teams may audit you. and decide based on their own criteria if you become a qualified supplier. If your budget is tight, you can start with compliance, but certification should be the long-term goal. But beware, some customer will doubt your claim of compliance unless a third party verifies it. If a customer is choosing between a certified competitor and your self-proclaimed compliance, guess who are they gonna pick? But you stuck around, so you deserve the bonus tip. Be careful making compliance claims. Some companies claim to be ISO and API compliant without actually following the standards. This is risky. If your customer or potential customer audits you and finds severe gaps, your reputation might be questioned, especially if the customer is a large company and they have their own supply chain team. Believe me, these gurus know their staff, and they will sniff right away if you are flat out lying. If an industry regulator gets involved, you could face legal trouble. If you truly follow ISO or API standards but aren't certified yet, make it clear. Say something like, we operate in compliance with ISO or API, whichever standard it might be, and plan to pursue certification in the near future. Or better yet, work with a consultant to verify your compliance and get on track for certification. For example, at Mireaux Management Solutions, we can conduct an independent audit of your company and provide a comprehensive audit report. However, that's where it ends, because in the ISO and API world, a certificate of compliance does not exist. If someone is offering that, I'll question their credibility immediately. That said, if you present our audit report as is to your customer or potential customers, they'll get an accurate and transparent assessment of your management system. Not just because our report is meticulously structured, capturing all the critical elements of an ISO or API audit, but because it truly reflects where your company stands in compliance and readiness. Now that you know the difference between ISO and API compliance and certification, if you opt for certification, the next step might be choosing the right registrar, because not all registrars are equal. Watch our next video on how to choose an ISO and API registrar to make sure you don't waste time and money on the wrong one. Got questions about ISO and API compliance? Drop them in the comments or send them our way. We might answer yours in our next video.